Recently, I've been watching quite a few videos online, and they've all been about people who have decided to just pack up and just go. Things are just too tough here in the UK. It is far too expensive to live in the UK. The weather is terrible, especially at this time of year. It's raining, it's wet, it's windy, it's cold, it's dangerous. You name it, there's every single reason under the sun just to pack up and go. And this is something that I did myself when I was younger. I spent over 20 years living overseas in Hong Kong. Now, I particularly enjoyed living overseas, and now I'm back in the UK, and I would certainly consider living again overseas at some point in the future. But what I would like to say is that just because you're suddenly going to jump onto an aeroplane, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything is going to be a bed of roses overseas. Far from it. Maybe when you first land, you experience a bit of an adrenaline rush. It's a completely different country. The people are different. The language is different. The cost of everything is different. The accommodation is different. Everything. The culture is different. You name it. The stores, the restaurants, everything is different. The scenery, everything is different. And to some extent, this is the fantastic appeal that draws us to these countries in the first place. Normally, if you go for a holiday, maximum maybe you would go for 2 weeks, possibly even a little bit longer than that. But in your mind, you're always coming back. You're going to go and have a good time. You're going to experience the language, the culture, the people, the food, everything. And then you're going to come back rested and get back to work. When you go overseas for a long time, and I'm not just talking about a few weeks, I'm not talking about months, I'm talking about years, I'm talking about decades. You have to accept that and this is going to sound incredibly simple, but you have to accept that wherever you're going is not the UK. It's different. The culture is different. The people are different. The way in which people behave is different. The cost of things is different. The weather is different. The space in which you live is different. Driving is different. And I could go on and on and on. Everything is different. And coming to terms with that difference is either what makes you or breaks you when you're overseas. If you spend the entirety of your time when you're overseas comparing how everything is different, then it's very, very likely that you will crash and burn pretty quickly, and you will find yourself wanting to come back home. In addition, you haven't just got to think about yourself, you've got to think, in the case of a family, you've got to think about everybody else in your family as well. And I'm not just talking about your immediate family, I'm talking about your wider family. So I'm talking about the family that you leave behind as well. For example, in the UK, do you have elderly relatives? Maybe they're not particularly old now, but if you intend to stay overseas for a long time, they will be older later. And how does that affect you living in a foreign country? Because you will constantly be worried about, are they okay? Do they need help? Time difference is another issue as well. When can you call them? How often can you go back and visit them? The chances are you can't go back and visit them very often, simply because of the price of the flights. Another issue that you have to think very carefully about is, just because you like the new country, it doesn't necessarily mean that your partner will like the new country. And it doesn't necessarily mean that your partner's family will like the fact that you're there, even though your family may be accepting of it. So there's all these other types of dynamic that play out as well. It's not my intention to paint a negative picture overseas. My own experience was fantastic. I loved it. And I would still call Hong Kong my second home. How best to deal with living overseas? I think you have to accept very simply that you're not in the UK. And there comes a point when you have to start celebrating the differences rather than criticizing the differences. So the different foods, the weather, all of these are opportunities to be grateful and to celebrate. There will be many other things which you miss, quite frankly, because our homes are very unique to us. And the reason they're unique to us is because you can't replicate that in other countries in the world. We may try to replicate our home environment in another country, but we all realistically know it's not possible. If we want to experience our home environment, we need to be in our home environment. So once we make that mental shift that we're going to be away from our home environment, we have to accept what our new home has to offer. Once we can actually accept that, then we can truly start to flourish in our new environment on a long-term basis. You have to take a realistic approach to moving overseas, living overseas for a long period of time. And you have to look at all the consequences of doing that. And if you can take a realistic, honest approach to moving overseas, then your chances of succeeding and having a wonderful, happy life are much, much higher.